Hey everybody, Derek from Mac Gaming here with another video. Today I bring Burnout 3 Takedown for the PlayStation 2 running on the AetherSX2 emulator. And you guys can see here, it's running at a resolution of 1920 by 1344. And as usual, regarding system resources, well, it's not using much CPU or RAM. Now that's not the important thing here. The important thing is GPU power. How are those 7 cores performing? Well, I initially tested the game at a resolution of 1440p, and immediately the frame rate dropped to 50 frames per second, temperature skyrocketed, and, looking at the metrics, GPU use, I realized that, hey, those 7 cores are maxed out. So we're clearly seeing here that the 7 cores are bottlenecking the whole system, because obviously you're seeing here no GPUs being used, no RAM, nothing at all, so it's the GPU. So I decided to drop the resolution to 1080p as I usually do in these cases, and while I did get a stable 60 frames per second, however, the GPU use was still pretty high. We're seeing anywhere between 90 to 95%, you guys can see here on the left side. So what are we seeing here? First of all, we're seeing that obviously the M1 is it has this GPU bottleneck when it comes to GPU intense tasks such as this game on the emulator. And second, I don't really think that we would profit from active cooling. Like, yeah, obviously, if we would be able to drop the temperatures, you guys can see here by the end of the video, temperatures do go up to around 92 degrees. Well, maybe we could profit from 5 to 10%, but still, that's not going to be something that's going to allow us to change the resolution to bump it up to 1440p. So, I think 1440p is totally out of the question. I don't own the M1 MacBook Pro, but it would be nice to see how this game fares on that system, because that would actually be that would actually tell us the difference between active cooling and not. So the thing is that the GPU is bottlenecking the whole system. That is preventing us from let's say bumping up the resolution or adding more texture filtering, and this is actually what the whole M2 is going to be about. Once we get our hands on the 10-core GPU inside the M2, we will see if all this, all the extra performance that Apple is claiming to deliver will actually translate into us being able to raise resolution, play, let's say, for example, this game at 1440p or higher resolution with, let's say, texture filtering and whatnot. Because, just as I said earlier, I don't really think that active cooling would make a difference, at least in this specific game and this specific task, since the GPUs are overloaded and they really just can't deliver much more performance. Yeah, cooling can, it will allow you, it'll allow clock speeds to, not drop, and maybe you will be able to, sustain higher performance, but not that much, because it's already, hogging, let's say, almost the totality of all the GPU cores. And even by the end of this video, you'll see that we're running the game at around 90 to 92 degrees, but the GPU use doesn't really shift. It's not moving. So, I don't really think the throttling is going to make a difference. And if throttling is not making a difference when it comes to, let's say, performing in this game, then active cooling, at least in my opinion, is kind of useless. So the thing is that soon I'll get my hands on the M2 MacBook Pro. This is one of those games that I'm going to test immediately. I'm going to see how that 10-core GPU, let's say, performs against the 7-core GPU in the M1. See if we really profit from that extra performance, and at least if it translates into real-world situations such as this, such as raising resolution, improved textures, higher filtering, and whatnot. So, yeah, guys, very interesting to see here real case scenarios where we're seeing that the GPU is totally maxed out. It's the limiting factor when playing games, at least in this specific emulator. And it's going to be an awesome tool to compare against the M2, see if we're really profiting and if it translates into real world, let's say if we could actually profit from it in a real world scenario where, we'll be able to raise resolution, regardless of how the active cooling and temperatures, because obviously overall you're going to have a much cooler system, and that's in the end that's much better for the rest of the system and the components. But all in all, performance wise, I believe this 7-core GPU is bottlenecking the system like crazy. It's hit its max, at least in this specific game, given how this is an emulator and all that. But all in all, we're just going to have to wait and see how that M2, we know with the 10-core GPU fares against the actual M1, see if we actually profit from it. And that's about it, guys. So as usual, enjoy the video and stay tuned for more content.